recording, and we can share that with anyone that requests it moving forward. So everyone, thanks for joining us today to hear to honors study abroad opportunities for next summer 2022. We're glad that you're interested in our programs and look forward to your questions. So for our agenda today, Dr. Kate File and I are going to review the Lisbon, Portugal study abroad for about 10 minutes. And then Dr. Brian Bossack is going to review his program in France and Switzerland. And then we have Ms. Stephanie Clark from the Center for International Education with us to talk a little bit more about the logistics. So the application process, some scholarships, opportunities, and answer questions on that end. So lots of information to share today. So write down your questions, and otherwise we'll get started.
Yeah, so if you guys want to put them in the chat, that's totally fine. And we can review them as they pop up, or maybe after the end of each program presentation, so that you don't forget them, because I'm a chronic raise my hand, and then when I get called on, I actually can't remember what my question was. Okay, so yeah, my name is Dr. Kate File, and myself and Dr. Huey are gonna be leading a program to Lisbon, Portugal, which is basically during the summer 1 session for next summer. So it's June 6th to July 2nd. So just to give a kind of an overview of what that looks like, it's 4 full weeks, so 28 days and 27 nights. It does have an honor student focus, meaning that all the students that we are looking to take on this program would be members of the honors college, but can come from any discipline or major within the honors college. So I know it might be a little bit confusing, or via TRM application site, it does say biology, but this is not limited to biology. There just isn't really a good choice for what to put there. So the program also includes 5 guest lectures and then 6 different co-curricular activities, and we'll go over sort of each of those pretty quickly over the next few minutes. If we look at the cost, because we know that cost is a big factor for students when deciding, you know, how and whether and if and when possible to do a study abroad program, it's going to be different based on the number of students that we have that end up, you know, applying and accepting it and completing this program. So there's a pretty big cost difference between the lowest number of tiered students, so 10 to 14 versus 15 to 19. And so that amount is going to differ to, you know, as we get more students, the price per student goes down. So it's important to note that this program fee does not include airfare, tuition, and meals other than breakfast. So we do have 2 group meals, which Dr. Huey will mention. But for the most part, most of your meals are going to be on your own, as well as airfare and tuition. And for those of you who may be out of state versus in-state students, out of state tuition for study abroad, or out of state students, I should say, for study abroad is going to be in-state tuition plus 30%. So you're not paying what an out of state tuition for 3 credit course would be, but you're paying in-state plus 30%. And hopefully I got that right, Stephanie. Okay. So that program fee covers or provides us with designated classroom space over that 4-week period. It also covers 24/7 emergency support, and that comes from the organization that we're working with as to plan and execute this study abroad program. So that doesn't mean that Dr. Huey and I are 24/7 emergency support, although we will be there the whole time with you. It does mean that we have somebody who's on the ground, familiar with the area, familiar with the systems, in order to provide that kind of support. It also includes a program assistant on all of our activities. So we have a day trip planned, you know, different guest speakers. So that program assistant will help facilitate those experiences. It also includes travel insurance, which is really beneficial, and then also orientation, both pre-departure, so kind of thinking about some of the cultural differences that we might expect, and upon arrival on-site orientation as well. And lastly, it also includes airport transfer to and from based on your individual needs. So the program fee will cover living accommodations within a hotel. So this is a hotel that's, we've been told, is in a really safe neighborhood and does offer continental breakfast every morning. So that meal is included in the program fee. It would be a double occupancy room, so you would share a room with another student on the trip as well. And then just to kind of quickly talk about the two academic opportunities that are part of this program. So the first is going to be a 3-credit course that's offered within the Honors College. So it's Honors 390, which counts as an advanced studies course. So Honors 390, the specific topic of this advanced studies will be evidence-based medicine, which is really just sort of the intersection between patient values, what the evidence says about a specific topic. So what do we know from a scientific background? And then also thinking about clinical expertise and how do we factor that into decision-making. So we're going to take this perspective of evidence-based medicine and apply it to kind of Portugal as a country and some of some examples that are unique to their healthcare structure and to their community. So we'll look at applications related to prevention of disease or illness, diagnosis, and then also treatment and management strategies. So one of the guest lectures that we'll have as part of this program will be associated with this course, and that's going to be focused on developing a national healthcare system. So Portugal has a different healthcare structure than the United States. So I think that'll be a pretty interesting kind of compare and contrast opportunity for us to think about. And then further, how does that relate to some of the decisions that are made as a healthcare provider, or some of the decisions that you have as a patient. And then the second guest lecture will be focused on drug decriminalization policy. So again, within Portugal, they have a different approach for treating illicit drugs and addiction. And so just again, thinking about, how does this relate back to treatment and management? What are some of the outcomes they see within their community versus maybe some of the outcomes that we're seeing within the United States? Dr. Hewitt, I can't remember, this is your slide, right? Yes, okay.
Yes, it is. Thanks, Dr. File. So hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Huey, and I'm a faculty member in our public health program at the College of Charleston. And like Dr. File and Dr. Bossack, we are Honors College faculty fellows. So we teach and advise in the Honors College as well. So the academic opportunity that I am offering is an honors immersed research experience. So this is a little bit different, maybe quite a bit different than the 3-credit class. So it will be 4 0 credits, which will mean there's no tuition associated with the class. And we will be going through a research project in the city of Lisbon. So the group of students that do the honors immersed research experience will help plan the project, collect data, manage the data in a database, conduct analysis, and disseminate the results. And what we're going to be looking at is parks and green space in the city of Lisbon, or walkability. So we're gonna, depending on the group, we're gonna talk about that and make plans for that project. We will have some training before we depart for Lisbon. So there will be some online virtual training and some readings to complete ahead of time. We'll mainly spend most of our time collecting data while we're in Lisbon, and then we'll have some follow-up once for the rest to complete by the end of summer once we return to Charleston.
Oh, sorry, that's me.
So associated with this project, we'll have a guest lecture about the public transportation system and opportunities in the city of Lisbon. And we will also have a lecture from an expert about the urban development of Lisbon and how it's changed over time. And So then those are the academic components. So Dr. File has the honors 390 class, and I'm offering the honors immersed. And so outside of the academics, we're also going to do some activities as a group. So one thing I'm excited about is a group cooking class. So we'll participate in that.
Sorry, my slides are not wanting to advance. There. Did I miss one?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So we'll have the group cooking class. Yes, we're going to take a day trip to Sintra and visit this World Heritage Site. So we'll do that together during the program. I think we have, when we arrive, so we'll do a group welcome dinner. And this is another time where we'll learn about the culture in Lisbon. And we'll also do a farewell dinner all together.
I don't know what's going on. Ah, there we go.
And yes, in line with examining parks and built environment attributes of Lisbon, we're going to participate in guided walking and biking tours to better explore the city. And associated this is associated with the academic component, tour a drug treatment center in a hospital in Lisbon. So that will directly relate to Dr. File's class.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know. It was like my mouse was sticking or something.
So hopefully that gives an overview of some of the logistics and what we'll be doing. Please feel free to reach out to myself or Dr. File via email if you have any questions about the program. And then Dr. Bossack will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Wow, that looks like an awesome trip. If I didn't have a competing one, I would say I would want to go on it too, because it does look awesome. Oh my gosh, I saw that food. It's hard to resist. All right, so I am here today to talk with you all about our other trip in honors, which is going to Paris and Geneva in Switzerland. And so I have just a few minutes to try to blow your minds in terms of the possibilities this summer of these awesome trips. And of course, I need to talk to you about the potential of a neighborly country just to the north of Portugal and Spain, and that would be Paris, France, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and neighboring country called Switzerland. So here we go. Here's the pitch. Singular study abroad experience. And that's not to take anything away from other experiences because they look amazing. I just saw that potential 2 options of courses that you could take in Portugal, and wow, that really looks awesome. But let's talk a little bit about what we're offering in our program. We're going to Paris, France. If you've never been there before, there's nothing else like it. Geneva, Switzerland, the diplomatic capital of Europe. I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure you've heard of the UN, you've heard of the WHO. I'm sure you've heard of other, we call them NGOs, that are present in Geneva. It's also a beautiful old historic city on the edge of a beautiful lake that is blue, and as far as you can see, surrounded by mountains. You're going to see pictures. So we have 2 optional excursions as well, one of which goes to the north of Paris, to Bruges, Belgium. It's only about 2.5 hours away by train. We'll talk a little bit about that. Medieval town, was not bombed during World War II, so it has a lot of the original structures from quote unquote back in the day. In Nice, France, going the other way, south in France, right down to the Mediterranean, bluest beaches you can imagine. Could you imagine a more beautiful city than this? Paris in the evening, sunset, a view of the Musée d'Orsay, the Eiffel Tower. Oh, I can smell bread in the air. So my goal here is to convince you of the places. City of Lights, oh my gosh. Does anything look that cool? You see it and you recognize it and you say, wow, this is Paris. As Hemingway, I think, said, that Paris exists and someone would want to live anywhere else. How is that even possible? It really is the city of lights. At night, it lights up. The Eiffel Tower is shining over the city. It literally sparkles on the hour. There's so much nightlife. There's so much going on, the hustle and bustle. I'd say it's the international capital of the world. It's also just the sights, the sunset over Paris. We're going to actually be able to see it from a boat. So we'll be going under these bridges. We'll talk more about that. So what are we going to do? All right, so I focus my presentation more on the locations and the opportunities of this study abroad experience rather than the courses. I can share as many details as you want about the courses if you contact me or contact Dr. Manis, who is teaching with me in this program. But the two courses, I'm sure some of you who are in honors already are aware of this, will be Honors 250, which is a colloquium on the future of humanity and a technological tomorrow. Some of you on this particular talk may have indeed sat in on that course and been a part of it for credit in a previous semester. So obviously I encourage you to look into my colleagues' opportunities. But if you still need a colloquium, you haven't taken the course, you've heard about how awesome it is, well, this is a chance for you to take that awesome course in awesome cities in Europe over a 3-week period. Also, HEAL 320, Immigration and Public Health. We're going to do a Seine River cruise. We're going to have a guided tour of the Louvre. We've got so many sites lined up for you. In fact, what I'm going to do is if you're interested and you want to know more about the actual experience, we're getting an itinerary and I can send you the whole itinerary and you can see all the different things that we're going to do. Visiting the History of Medicine Museum, Musée Curie, getting visits with biotechnology leaders, immigration, refugee health NGOs, so much more that I'd have to take up the whole presentation showing you this stuff. So I'm going to focus more on the city. Paris, France, the colors, the smells, the culture, the lifestyle, the joie de vivre, if you speak French, which I barely do, but I do like tourist French, so I can get around, it's all good. When you get to street level and you see the colors, it's just amazing. Everything pops. There's so much like a feel to the life and to the pace. It's just remarkable. Of course, I'm talking about the food. French cuisine is world renowned. There's a reason for that. The experiences, the opportunities, the people who come together and meet each other. You go to a city like this and you're in a place or you're somewhere and you hear American English being spoken somewhere else, and instantly there's a connection between you and other students who are visiting from other places. The nightlife, the cafe culture, again, the beautiful old cafes that are hundreds of years old and the colors that pop. Sitting outside, watching the world go by, enjoying some food, hanging out. Again, the colors, it's remarkable. And nightlife, not so bad. Paris is not known for being a very quiet, boring town. And there's reasons for that. It's beautiful. There's opportunities, whatever you're looking for, I'm sure you can find it in Paris. Ooh la la, the food. Need I say more? Oh my gosh, I look at that Nutella crepe and I almost lose my train of thought. So I better move on quick. Delicious Mediterranean food. The boulangeries, the patisseries. Can you imagine the smells of the bakeries and the bread that's baked fresh every morning that is just a part of Parisian life? You walk by every day. You don't get your bread like a week in advance and get it from the store and slowly eat through it. No, you get it fresh daily. Oh, look at those baguettes. They'll be gone by noon. The confiserie, the ham and fromage sandwiches with the rosemary buds on top to provide some flavoring. Oh, if you are brave, there is something called escargot. We call them snails. In France, they are called delicious. However, I've tried them. You know, you have to have been there, done that thing. I'm good. It's, you know, I've had I can check that one off. But if you are adventurous, go for it. Check it out. French onion soup. Although when you're in France, just try calling it onion soup. And the delicious breakfasts. Oh my gosh. Oh, and of course, I got to throw in one of our visits to the History of Medicine Museum. So much more. In fact, so much more that I won't get into it in the slides. Talk to me. We've got so many visits scheduled, so many visits with faculty, professionals, biotech, CEOs. It's all in there. Now, included in this trip, so we're going to 2 cities. Paris is our main home. That's going to be our home for about 2.5 weeks of the experience. And then for a couple of days, we're going to Geneva, Switzerland. Geneva has the world's largest fountain of water. I bet you didn't know that. The Jet d'Eau, and it's like hundreds of feet high. It goes in the summer. It's right on Lake Geneva, surrounded by mountains. A millennial, I don't know how to describe it, thousands and thousands and thousands of years of history in one place. Beautiful. Look at the moon setting over the city. But even during the day, so much remarkable sights to see, the mountains, the Jura Mountains nearby. The international diplomatic capital of the world. There is like technically a beach on Lake Geneva. I mean, if you're brave, maybe you'll explore it. I like warm water, so I don't know if I'm brave enough for that, but it's there and it's an opportunity for you. World Health Organization is, of course, headquartered in Geneva, and we are going to be paying a visit to the WHO. That is included in the program that we will be running. I'll show you more about that in a later slide. WHO headquarters, a little bit more about that coming up. Of course, the European United Nations headquarters is there also, with interesting statues just out front of this image that you can't see. Lots of art and tributes. The WTO and so many more organizations are present in Geneva, along with super fancy carbon fiber Lamborghinis that you can actually see me and some students from a previous study abroad trip taking a picture of. So in Geneva, we'll be visiting WHO headquarters. We'll be visiting a second NGO in Geneva, and we'll be taking a guided city tour among many other things that we will be able to do during our several days in Geneva, which is incorporated into this trip. Now we have 2 optional weekend excursions, one to Bruges, Belgium, that's 2.5 hours to the north of Paris. We have Nice, France, which is about 6 hours south by train. Bruges is a beautiful historical medieval city. I've been there, I'll show you some pictures. It is in the summer, amazing. Again, food is my thing, I gotta get back to it. The chocolate, Belgian chocolate, have you heard of it? Amazing. French fries, not French, they're actually Belgian. In the part of Belgium where they speak French, the French fry sauce is amazing. Cafe culture, everybody outside at night. The plaza's filled with people, lots of opportunities, canal cruises, old medieval historical houses, people walking around everywhere, waffles, Flemish waffles. Nice, France, now we're going south. The bluest beaches on the Riviera, actually like the headquarters of the French Riviera. Miles and miles of clear blue-ish beaches. Lots of things to do, walk around and see people outside everywhere. Nice warm weather in the summer. Get your umbrella, set things up, chill out, enjoy life on the French Riviera for a few days. Where will we stay? It's an important question. So in Paris, we will actually not be staying at a hotel. We are staying at a campus of let's call it a university. It's called the Cité Internationale Université de Paris, which is an international campus of dormitories and dining halls and study areas and athletic fields and all kinds of stuff, which was designed from the very beginning after World War I to bring in cultures and peoples from other countries to come together, study together, learn from each other, so that hopefully that would avert any future world wars. And the goal was to have a cultural interchange. So this university was specifically established, particularly for students to come and stay in Paris in a residential campus, which is actually quite rare in Europe, and then learn from each other. So we would see that we have less differences than we have in commonalities. In Geneva, we will stay at the Ibis Centralac Hotel, and I will show you pictures of that. Cité Universitaire is located inside of the main city center of Paris. Again, lots and lots of people staying there during the summer. You never know who you can meet and where they could be from. You can make friends that you couldn't even imagine. Who knows what that could lead to in the future. It is located in the southern part of the central part of Paris, if that makes sense. There's a kind of a perimeter that goes around it. It's inside that perimeter on the bottom. Nice residential area with a campus of buildings. We're going to be staying at one of the dorms on that campus. And so think of it as like a home away from home, a campus away from your campus, where you will have a place to go back to in Paris that feels like a residential college campus and rather than a hotel. Now in Geneva, we are staying at a hotel because there are less residential opportunities there. Twin bed rooms where you share a room with somebody in a hotel. This is again the Ibis Centralac. It's got a nice central location. Now, how much? It's an important question. This is me a long time ago when I had hair, but I was in Bruges on one of my favorite streets because right next to me was where I had one of the best breakfasts of my life. $4,555, not including airfare and tuition, just like my colleagues mentioned. In fact, almost all the same things that they're talking about, we have the same things. We've got the intercity rail, so going from Paris to Geneva, going from Geneva back to Paris included, in-city in Paris, in-city in Geneva, some of your meals, mostly breakfasts, entrance fees, airport transfers, insurance. We have a program director with us the whole time for the duration of the trip, plus so much more that I'll be happy to send you that itinerary. Those weekend excursions that I mentioned are extra if you want to do those, but you can decide on that when and if you get into the program, you apply for it, you get accepted into the program, you go to register with our program provider, you can choose to do one of those excursions. We do not include airfare. We do have group airfare on reserve. It's $948 from Charleston to Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport. If you have a way of flying cheaper, or let's say you're going home to New York and you want to fly from there, or you're going to Boston, want to fly from there, cool. But if you want to fly with us, we already have group airfare, which is a possibility. One thing I want to mention, why not do a study abroad? Not only is it going to be awesome and amazing, and I'll show you images from the previous trip, but 43% of participants in a study from the International Institute on Education, or the Institute on International Education, said that actually doing a short-term 8-week or less study abroad experience helped them either get a job or with a job offer or a promotion. And 43% of those participants in those programs reported that in the study. So could be useful in the future. Now there are competitive scholarships. I'm going to leave the information on this to Stephanie Clark from CIE, who's coming up in just a minute. And World Strides, our program provider, also offers some competitive scholarships and some limited need-based scholarships. So there's lots of opportunities out there potentially to get funds to help pay for study abroad. Let's talk about some experiences. So 2 years ago, ran a similar program during spring break, took some students over to Paris and then to Geneva. This is actually in the upper right corner. You can see our program coordinator who was with us the whole time, Drasco. At one of the last nights we had dinner on a boat, and you can see us in the corner there. Images that I found very interesting, quarantine stations on the way there, flying on over, getting over to the other side. We went on Segway tours, which I wouldn't recommend in the summer because the sidewalks are really packed with people. But in the winter when nobody was out, oh my gosh, we were racing. It was great. We were going off Kurt. It was wonderful. Students loved it. You can see that they look really miserable right now. We went to the WHO. You can see they were super happy. We went to the Situation Room. This was us when we pulled up to the Eiffel Tower. Students were having a great time. We had group dinners, group lunches together, breakfasts. So we got together regularly. Here's inside of the WHO. This is outside of the WHO. The statue's commemorating officially the only disease ever eradicated by humans, smallpox. This was me a long time ago when I had hair in Bruges. And I'm telling you, I had a great time there. The city is remarkable during the summer. And what's amazing is because it was not bombed during World War II, a lot of the original structures from like the 1100s, 12th century, 13th century, they're all still standing. Amazing history in this place. I think there's actually a Michelangelo there. I took a picture of this and I think it's a Michelangelo statue that you can actually see in a church in Bruges, Belgium. For me, from a previous study abroad, that was like 11, 12 years ago when I did that study abroad. My daughter was just born and I was in front of the Eiffel Tower. Picture that I took of bridges and sunset in Paris. Oh, this is a picture when we went last time to the WHO. We're in the Situation Room. We're learning all about how the WHO plans to respond to the next pandemic when it comes out. We're all thinking, okay, one day this is going to be really, really interesting to see, except that almost 2 years to the exact day later, the WHO Director General was meeting in that room and declaring coronavirus as a pandemic of global concern. You get a chance to clown around in front of the Mona Lisa, get photobombed by a French student. Hope you get to make those memories. Hope you'll consider joining us this summer. Think about it. Where will you be? Will you be making memories for a lifetime? You have the opportunity to join us in Paris and Geneva this May. We have a number of applications that are already in process. Several students have already completed that process. Their decisions have been forwarded. Don't wait too long. I'm not saying you have to go out and do an application today, but I think the sooner you do it, if you have any interest whatsoever, the sooner you can get to your competitive scholarship applications. And I think that you'll be more competitive if you've already applied and selected a program. If you have any questions, contact me, or feel free to contact Dr. Menace and contact CIE for information on actually the physical mechanics of applying or questions on scholarships. And I know Stephanie Clark will be talking soon. I tried to go real fast. That was a lot of slides. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to me. And I will turn things over to my colleagues.
Perfect. Okay, so now that we've talked about the mechanics of all the fun stuff, now we're going to do the boring things of actually applying. So in order for you to be an applicant for any type of study abroad program here at the College of Charleston, you need to have a VIA TRM page, or excuse me, account. And everybody should be able to see my VIA TRM at the moment. Just making sure. Perfect. Okay. So with VIA TRM, if you're going to be doing a faculty-led program, if you're going to do an affiliate program, or if you're going to do an exchange, you have to have an application through VIA TRM. It actually links up with your College of Charleston email. So a lot of the information, once you go to apply, will actually already be there. So for these two particular programs, there's a couple of ways that you can search for the programs in via TRM. If you've created your via TRM account and you log in, you can actually go, once you click on the programs, and put in 10521 for the Portugal Honors Program, or you could put in 11611 for the France and Switzerland Global Health and Honors Summer Program. And that'll direct you straight to the page. And on your end, instead of seeing edit program, you'll see the apply button. But if you don't have that information, if you go to programs, all faculty-led programs are going to have tags. So when you're under filters, you can do a term tag and you can click on faculty-led. And then if you scroll down to the program country, you can either then put France and Portugal. And the programs for the summer, which you also can then term timing, should not have that one. But there's also one where you can put in the timing, so you can just put in summer. So that way you're looking at only faculty-led programs for the summer, and that's in France or Portugal. And you'll see that the two programs then do pop up. So when you do click on that, you're going to find out more information about the program. So we have a little brief introduction, but then we also have introduction videos. We have information for the program directors, because I would love to talk about all these programs, but I don't know the nuances as much as the program directors. So if you have specific questions, you can click on their email address and ask them specifically. We also want to make sure that students have an easy access to find out more information about entry and exit requirements, because as of right now, students are still going to need a negative PCR test, a negative COVID test, in order to get back into the United States. There might be situations that come up as it continues with regards to what you'll need in order to enter the country. So what we've done is we've given you, on both of the programs, we've given you a direct link to the embassy of that country and the COVID-19 situation. So that way you can be informed. And this link will not need to change, but the information will be updated. So you can find out more information of how things are going on the ground there. Also, with both of these programs are utilizing a education abroad service provider. Now, with both of these service providers, one is CIEE, the other one is World Strides. For this matter, for you, that doesn't necessarily matter which car you're getting in, which service provider you're in. It is still a faculty-led program. The courses are College of Charleston courses. But both of those providers are requiring students to have a COVID-19 vaccination. For religious or health reasons, you can petition, but that is something that you want to know straight at the beginning, that this is going to be a requirement from the provider, not from the college. So just to be informed of that, we'll have more informed consent forms once everything goes through, but I want to make sure that all the students are aware of those items. So we find out a little bit more. We have information about accommodation, the courses, which very, very important, academic programs. You want to know what course this is going to count for, along with how that works with your academic schedule. Study abroad should not hinder your graduation. It should enhance your education. So you're going to also need to be talking to your academic advisors with regards to how does this fit in with your coursework. If this is elective, that's perfectly fine. You need electives in order to graduate, but you need to make sure that you understand how this works in your degree works and how that will work towards your graduation. So a little bit more about this, we have information of the length and the cost, and the fact that it does not include tuition and it does not include international airfare along with most meals. One of the things that's great about not including airfare is the fact that if you have a voucher because you weren't able to travel because of lovely COVID-19 that needs to be used, you'll be able to utilize those in order to go abroad. However, if this is your first time ever studying or taking an international trip, and you've never bought a plane ticket before, we were going to be here to help you with that. We're not going to let you float in the wind with regards to that. We'll provide you information on what the flight the faculty will be taking, along with possibly other students. If you're not going to be in the Charleston area and you might be coming in from JFK, we can help coordinate with other students so that you may feel more comfortable going in as a group, but not necessarily a group flight. So we'll talk a little bit more about that once you're accepted into the program. The other really important part is the eligibility requirements. And I know that on both programs, it does talk about the honors portion of that. And then did I go into two of the same? Did I go into Portugal with both and I stopped going to France? France has more information that you need to do with those requirements. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that. You're talking to the program directors, the faculty, to make sure that you're doing everything that you can in order to participate on these programs. And now we're going to talk about the fun things, scholarships, because why on earth would you not want free money? So the only way you will know that you're not going to receive a scholarship from the College of Charleston is if you do not apply for a scholarship. Now, the scholarships for the summer programs aren't visible just yet. We're about to be done with our spring semester and they should be showing up shortly. But we are going to have our scholarships up there. We have lots of different opportunities for students to have money towards their study abroad experience. Whether you're doing a scholarship for study abroad or you're doing a scholarship for a different department, maybe your department has scholarships, you have to create an academic works account. So with your academic works, you'll see the different scholarships that are available once you log in, and then you will be able to apply. One thing that I really want to highlight about scholarships and about academic works is a little tricky. You have to create a general application first. And then once you create your general application, you mention that you want to travel or study abroad. That will then get you to the travel conditional application. And the reason why I pulled up this cheat sheet, which is on the scholarships page, so it's a quick guide for submitting your CIE scholarship, is because it's not as straightforward as you may think. So once you do your general application, you might have 5 other applications in progress. So it also might be the alumni, the communication, the sustainability, the women's and genders one that I can't read the rest of it. The only one of those 5 you need to complete to do a study abroad scholarship is the travel conditional application. You do not need references once you do that. So it might ask for references. It might have things where you need to do other ones. In order to get to the CIE scholarships, you just need to do the travel. So once you do that travel, the academic works, when you can go back to opportunities, and then instead of saying deadline, it'll now show that you can apply. Once you hit the apply button for these scholarships, these ones right over here, the ones that are like CIE Abroad Scholarship, Kane Family, that's when you're going to put in your references. So with all the other ones before, don't worry about references because they don't actually link up. That's another reason why we have a guide. It's really important that you check out this guide just so that you don't get confused. But once you do hit apply, you will then have references. You need to provide references for each of these applications, not for the other ones. Once again, once we get to this part, we're going to have more information about this. We're going to have more sessions, but just to kind of keep it in your mind. So possibly once you've applied and you start doing this and you're just like, she said something about references and waiting a little bit. One thing to note is that your faculty are very, very busy individuals. You need to make sure you give them time to create a reference. So they'll receive a link, but they might have tests that are due that week or things like that. If you know you want to study abroad, you can start talking to those faculty who could be recommenders and then getting those letters in now. So once they get the link, they don't even have to think about it. They go, ah, John Smith, got it. We're going to put John Smith, we're going to throw in the letter, submit it, and then it's done. That's much better than waiting until our deadlines for the spring semester are October 5th, waiting until October 1st and trying to get your faculty to turn everything on time. Dr. Bozek, I see that you have a question.
Yes, thank you. There was a question from a student who was asking about whether you could apply to multiple scholarships or whether you had to choose just like one, I guess.
Scholarships, as many as you want. Love it. You want to do as many scholarships as you want. Study abroad programs, you want to submit your application to the one program that you want to attend. And the reason why I say that is because all of these programs have a minimum number of students that need to commit to the program in order to run. If you're in 5 different programs, you can't necessarily be in 5 different programs during the summer, unless there are different times. If you want to do multiple programs, if they don't overlap, more power to you. But if you can only attend one program, then we need to make sure that we're counting your number for the appropriate program rather than having it in something else. So for the study abroad application, 1. For scholarships, more power to you, as many as you want. And then a lot of these things with these essays, you can tweak them or you can just add them in for the other ones as well. So that with the scholarships, lots, study abroad, 1. Do we have more questions? I haven't been checking the chat. So that's basically it with me with regards to via TRM and then the programs. You need to apply for the programs, and the programs may have a different deadline. So you need to check what those deadlines are, because once the deadline is closed, the deadline is closed, and we can't reopen those. So make sure that you're checking on those and submitting your application for the one program that you would like to apply to. Now let's say that I'm going to use different programs at the moment, but let's say that you wanted to do a program we're going to do it states, just the way that I'm not favoring anybody. But you wanted to do a program in Florida, and that's your main program. But also the program in Texas, if something happens with the program in Florida, you can't go for whatever reason, Texas is where I want to go next. Then you can do an incomplete application for the Texas program, and then have a submitted application for the Florida program. And I'm going to stop sharing now. And I believe that we're open to questions. So once again, this program or this information session is being recorded. If you want to ask questions that you do not want to be recorded, please just let us know and I'll edit it out. I also tend to edit out questions that I feel might be a little too personal anyway. So this information session will be edited before it is made live. So do we want to do chats or do we want to do?
Either way, students, if you have questions, you can unmute. Let us know what can we answer for you.
I have a question.
Yes, Madeline.
Do you know the deadlines for the program applications right now?
We do, yes. So
Yes.
Dr. Bozek's program is earlier than the other programs with January 31st. Everybody else is February 15th, correct? I didn't screw that up.
That's right.
Thank you.
Do we have to be accepted into the program first before we can apply to the scholarships?
So you have to be, let me rephrase this. No, you can do the scholarship before you are accepted into the program, but you can't receive a scholarship unless you're accepted. And then one of the things is that the scholarship is actually going to be after the deadline. So I love scholarships, free money is the best, but when you're budgeting, you want to kind of budget as if you're not going to get the scholarship. And then also when we're with the program fee for Portugal, I have it as the most, with the most amount, least amount of students. That way I like to have it where you're budgeting for the most. And then that way, if you get free money from scholarships or we get more students and you have the program fee goes under, then that's extra money that you actually have rather than having to kind of think about, oh, maybe I now need to come up with $500 more.
Stephanie,
Okay, thank you.
thanks, Brooke. Thanks for that question. Stephanie, what's the scholarship deadline for summer programs?
This is a very good question. So for scholarships for summer, it is, oh, I did lie to you. It's February 15th. So you have to submit your application by then. Technically, we give students 2 weeks once 2 weeks after the deadline to commit to the program. So there is a little bit of flexibility, but you're still probably not going to find out the scholarship recipients at that point.
Liza, Maddie, anything we can answer for you?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just wondering if you all have like an expected date where you would announce that the program has to be canceled due to COVID. So during next semester, I was just wondering if there's like an anticipated, date where you have to call it off. And then after that, if the fee to apply is going to be refunded.
So if a program is canceled by the college, whether that be due to COVID-19 or whether that be that there aren't enough students to run the program, or if faculty, there's something comes up and they can't run the program, that $50 application fee that's part of the program fee will not be charged. Now, with regards to your question of the go, no go date for the summer programs, as of right now, we're really kind of focusing on what's going on in the spring. So our go, no go deadline is in middle of October for our spring break and our spring programs. Now, our deadline for our students is primarily for summer programs, it's primarily February 15th. We want to make sure that we give you enough time that if we do have to cancel due to COVID-19, that you have more, I apologize, you have time to choose other options to do internships or something like that. Now, as we all know with COVID-19, things can be a little unpredictable. So we have the go, no go dates, and then which will probably be in February as well. And we're going to talk to you about when you're purchasing your flight about the different options with regards to that. I can say that for 2020 during spring break, those spring break programs that got canceled like 6 days before we left, the students did not get charged for that program. What we want to do is not get ourselves into that situation again, but we also want to make sure that students are able to study abroad, because if you've seen probably on Instagram or from other universities, faculty-led programs, semester programs, programs specifically with exchanges or affiliates, so those organizations that help students study abroad, that not necessarily is a faculty-led program, they have been running since pretty much the fall of last year. So there comes a point where we are going to be looking at the risks and seeing if it is worth it. However, what I can say right now is with regards to how things are looking, which we all know how that's been with the whole pandemic, that we are very hopeful for summer of 2022. And I'm very honestly hopeful for spring break of 2022 along with spring. But for those programs that are only going for a week, just seeing from the data that's coming out in my field with regards to international education, it does look like, especially with these locations, we should be okay. But unfortunately, I can't guarantee anything. If anybody watched the movie Meet Joe Black way back in the day, death and taxes are the only things you can guarantee. Brad Pitt, I'm old. But with regards to the college, we are going to be looking at that, and we're going to be evaluating probably in February, is my very long answer to your question.
Thank you so much.
One thing that I failed to mention, and this would apply to Dr. Bosick's class as well, but if, within, as honor students, you have these categories of classes that you're trying to complete: foundations, colloquia, advanced studies. If you've already taken or fulfilled your quota of those classes, keep in mind that you still have the 25 total HONS credits that you need to meet for graduation purposes. So if you've already taken your colloquia courses, or you've completed your advanced studies class, taking my advanced studies or taking Dr. Bosick's colloquia will count towards the 25 credits. So it becomes an honors elective. So don't let that be a hindrance to you. I just wanted to make sure you guys were thinking about that as well. Any other questions?
I do have a quick question.
Go for it.
So I am not anywhere close to a biology major or anything like that. I know you said I don't have to be to go on this trip or anything, but like, how would either of these courses, any of these courses, be for someone who does not know, who hasn't taken biology since high school? Like a hard time, or?
Madeline, what's your major?
I'm an astrophysics major.
Okay. So Madeline, I'll answer that question first, and then I'll let the other two speak for their academic opportunities. I teach this class, evidence-based medicine, during the academic year. I'm teaching it this upcoming spring semester for honors. I've had psychology majors, I've had teacher education majors, I've had finance majors. It's not, we don't talk about biology. We don't talk about actual disease. I utilize examples, but the expectation is that students, there are no prerequisites for the course. So I'm not expecting you to have any level of content. Anything that I'm looking for you to draw upon, I'll bring to you as part of that instructional information.
And
Got it.
I think I can chime in as well. And I can put you in touch with students perhaps who have taken my Future of Humanity and a Technological Tomorrow colloquium, so that you can kind of get more of a feel of the course. But we really focus on the implications and applications of artificial intelligence to things like healthcare, but also to economic systems, political systems, societal systems. It's really an applications-focused course. And I think as an astrophysics major, there's a lot in that course that might appeal to you, to be frank, particularly as we talk a lot about developments in AI, and really it's societally focused and application focused, rather than building an AI or something that's very technical like that. So I think that course, in addition to my colleagues' courses, certainly would be applicable to someone who is not necessarily majoring in biology, because we will all be dealing with the twin revolutions of AI and biotech, no matter what field we're in, over the coming years and decades.
Yeah, and lastly, Madeline, I'm not sure if you're interested in the honors immersed, but since we'll have training and students will do readings, and everything will be provided to students. So I'm anticipating that it's different majors, not just public health. I mean, I think urban planning, I mean, even if parks are just interesting to you, it could be a really good experience, just kind of going through the scientific process and collecting data and working with a data set. Pretty different than your field, but we'll go through all the steps together.
Thank you. That helps a lot.
All right, I think we're good.
Yeah, all right, so it is 4:57, so 3 minutes till. Once again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can do that via email. We all have Zoom appointments. I'm not sure with the faculty if you guys are doing in-person appointments. Zoom's more fun.
Preferred.
But regards to that, we were here to speak with you with regards to the different questions that you may have. I'm better with more of the, here's your application, here's the different things, here's the information for you to find out. You need to talk to the actual people who are going to be running the program to really kind of find out those nuances. But we're here to help you. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. All right.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.